Hello, you amazing friends. I'm with the legendary resilience and empowerment coach, Amanda McNeil. How are you, Amanda McNeil?
I'm very well, thank you, Ed. How are you?
Amanda, it is so good having you with us. And to our friends, we're streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. And Amanda, thank you for giving us up your evening. I was just going to say, what have you been up to lately? Anything exciting you want to share with us?
Yeah, I've been up to quite a lot, actually. I just completed doing Tony Robbins' UPW, Unleash the Power Within. So that was because it's in US time, it was 4 nights here in Australia of just immersive train, which was awesome. I can't recommend how much it just really helped change my mindset and build like strengths and certainty. So yeah, it was pretty cool, actually. Really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's incredible. We've got our first hello. If you are online now, smash that like, sharing, comment, say hello. I'll try and pick up as much as I can. And hello to that great person there. Now, I was going to say, what was the biggest thing you learned from those 4 days that you want to share with us in the wonderful world? What was the biggest insight you got out of that, Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest insight for me that I took away was just how much your mindset and changing your mindset can really determine the success and the path that you follow in life. And that the energy that you bring to something and what you focus on really can create the experiences that you have in life. So his famous saying is, what you focus on is what you get. It's so
Yeah.
true, because the energy that you show up with and what you choose to focus on. If you choose to focus on the positive, that's where you'll be. If you choose to focus on the negative, that's where you'll be. And that can really determine the quality of your life. So it might seem simplistic, but that was the biggest thing that I took away from it.
Wow. It's funny, I'm talking about my older self, the self that became a homeless veteran. I remember I always used to focus on what I didn't have. I always used to focus on the problem, and I never focused on winning, and it really messed up my life. And I just want to ask you a general question. Why do a lot of people like the older version of me, why do we focus on such poor things? Where does that come from, Amanda?
Well, it can come from many different things, but ultimately it comes down to a set of beliefs. And you kind of go back to what your core belief system is. And obviously your core belief system are the things that you experience and what you hold true in your life. Now, they could be developed from when you're a kid, or they could be developed as you going through your adolescence, or a particular experience that really impacted you. And so when you run your life through this set of core beliefs, these are the things that can really impact how you view the world.
Wow, incredible. So I love where you're going. Now, I was going to ask you, tell us your story. What led you to becoming what led you to becoming a coach, and what made you go into the area of empowerment and resilience? Why did this niche appeal to you?
So people have gone through things in their life, right? And I'm no different to anybody else. There were certain experiences that I had in my life that really shook my, I guess, core system of where I saw myself, where I saw my life. And I found that I sometimes settled in my life. And that happened in a marriage that I was in. I settled in a place where, outwardly it looked like the perfect marriage, but inwardly I wasn't happy, and that just wasn't true to me. And then another situation was when I was in my corporate career. And I kind of found my comfort zone, and I was well known, well respected, and I thought that that was okay. But little did I know it was kind of eating away at me, and I just lost all of my confidence and my self-worth and my belief in myself, my self-belief, because the culture was so bad and it was eating away at me, to the point that I suffered burnout. And I chose to leave that environment because the pain was so bad. I couldn't go through another 12 months of it, right? And usually that's what happens when the pain's so bad. That's the thing that triggers an action. And that's what triggered the action for me. So here I was, I found myself kind of lost because I didn't have a plan B. And after I'd kind of recovered from the burnout, I really didn't know. I didn't have a direction. I didn't have a purpose of where I was going to go. So I actually reached out to a coach, and they helped me kind of reconnect back to what my values were, what my beliefs were. And through that, I worked out what my purpose was. And once I had clarity around that, that's when everything started to change for me. And when I saw that transformation, I was like, this is amazing, the impact that it's had on my life, because now I'm in a place where I am so fulfilled with what I'm doing. I'm kind of living that dream life that I always wanted for myself, but didn't think was possible because, I got trapped in the security and the safety of a corporate job and a paycheck, right? So when I saw that transformation, I was like, that's it. That's what I want to help people with. That is my purpose. And, I went through the journey of education and training and all of that sort of stuff. But that was what led me to the point of realization that this was the thing that I wanted to do, because I want to be able to help people get through and navigate the journey that they're on. And, if they're experienced the same things that I have, being able to help them through that, because I've been there. I can feel their pain and I know what it's like, and I can help them get to the other side of that, because that's where I've gotten to.
Yeah, wow. Now, just a quick shout to, I guess we've got Andra, great seeing. We've got Yasser from Dubai. I was talking to Yasser today, great guy. Salom, we've got Viviana. We've got all the gurus here. So if you are here, smash that like, smash that share, smash that comment, connect with Amanda and I. And if you are watching the recording, say hello as well and make sure you smash that share key. So that's all interesting. Now, I was wondering, was it the fact you're getting older too? Was that a factor? Was it just the stress of the job, or do you think your age was something you do? The reason why I say that is because I'm way less tolerant to BS now than I was 10 years ago. Do you think age was a factor as well? How does that play into all this, Amanda?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ed. When if I look back on it now, I've never really thought about it that way. But if I look back on it now, I guess age can have something to do with it, because I have gone through so many more experiences than where I was 10 years ago. And I have matured and I have evolved as a person as well. And so I look at life through a different lens with, all of the experiences that I have under my belt and where I am in my life now. I've gotten to a place where I'm very happy with where I am. And so I guess age can play a factor in that, because, as I said, if I made this decision 10 years ago, I still would have gotten to, you learn the same things, you learn the same tools. The education is still the same. But I guess it's the life experiences that I've been able to go through that just give me more value that I can add to my clients. So I guess that's where age would play a role in that.
Very interesting. Now, do you remember a moment in, let's say, your last job? Was it just death by 1,000 cuts, or was there a moment where you just got screwed for the last, obviously there was, and you said, that's it, I'm out, screw you guys, I'm going home, quoting Cartman from South Park?
Yeah. I like that.
Oh, well, tell us. Oh, this is going to be good.
It's all right. There was a moment, and it was that first year of COVID, right? But we were delivering what used to be an 8,000 face-to-face event, took over the Melbourne Convention Centre. We had to change it and put it online. And that in itself was a massive learning experience. And talk about getting out of your comfort zone. I was way out of my comfort zone because I was the face-to-face girl, right? Whereas now this was all an online experience. So I had to learn the technology. But that wasn't the issue. The issue was the way that, my 16 and a half years working in events was overlooked. It wasn't heard. People were making decisions without reaching out to the experts for the input. And what ended up happening was the event part successful, but other parts of it failed. And they were things that we were kind of crying out.
Just to jump in, was it like people just weren't consulting you? They thought you were an idiot? Was it like they just thought you were dumb and just thought, oh, yeah, Amanda's a nobody? Was that the sort of tragic way they were disrespecting you?
I don't know that they thought I was an idiot. I hope they didn't. I think ego. I think a lot of ego came into play. And, you talk about age. I think I got to a point in my life where I'm over the ego. I am over people making decisions based on how they're going to look, opposed
And
to the overall.
And I hate to bring this up, was it also a fact that you were a woman that they didn't want to listen to you? Do you think your gender played a tragic role? Was there a bit of sexism there, Amanda?
Interestingly enough, I don't believe, well, maybe it was, but it was a female who was actually in charge of this particular project. So quite interesting that you asked that question. So I don't know, if I was a man, maybe I would have been heard a little bit differently. I would like to think not, because it was, yeah.
On that note, I actually did a poll on LinkedIn some months ago, right? And I think you saw the poll. I actually asked a question aimed at women, and I said, to women, where does most of your sexist attacks come from? And 9% of women said it comes from other women. So other women were often the victims of sexism by other women. It's interesting, actually. When I was in the workplace, I never once ever saw a man ever put down a woman. It was always a woman putting down a woman, and the poll reflected that. And I suppose the bit that's got me interested is that I wonder if gender was a factor there. I really do think that.
Yeah, like I said, it's a great question, not one that I actually even thought about myself, thinking that, it was a female who was in control. We're all supposed to be lifting each other up, right? Sister power.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, I find the irony is, whenever I was in the workplace, I never once saw a man ever pull down a woman. It was always woman on woman, and the poll reflected that. So fascinating. I reckon that was a factor. I bet you if you were a dude, she would have listened to you more, which is tragic and horrible.
It is tragic and horrible. But I've got to tell you, though, what it did do was just reinforce how resilient I was, right? Because honestly, the way that I think in events, when you know how there's that list that goes out about the 10 most stressful jobs, yeah. I think events is above being a paramedic as one of the most stressful jobs. Okay. So you think about that, and you think about resilience, like over the 16 and a half years, and particularly in the last 7 years, the culture was really declining, unfortunately. And that's when your resilience really starts to kick in. You've got to be able to continue to approach things with a really optimistic mind. Like I always chose to see the positive versus the negative in things. But it's when I got to that point where everything started to become negative. Like I lost that positivity about me, and it really did start to shape how I was viewing the world. That to me, Ed, was the breaking point. That was the moment that I knew I needed to get out.
Did you wake up one day and you were just not well? Did something happen? Did your PC explode and you just had enough? What exactly happened that day? I'm just curious because it's such a cool story, and a tragically cool story with love and respect.
A tragically cool story. Well, strangely enough, I was actually Christmas holidays, and I was like a week. I was about to head back into the office in a week's time, and I was hanging out my washing. And I was
you got your dresses.
It was sheets, actually. But I remember thinking, how the hell am I going to survive another 12 months in this environment without losing my mind? Like, I'm going to snap. I seriously thought my nerves were that much on the edge that I just felt like I was going to snap at some point. And I was like, this ain't right. This cannot be my life. Like, how can I exist like this? You just couldn't. And interestingly enough, talk about putting it out there in the universe. When I got back from Christmas leave, I was in the job for a week. They announced a restructure. And that is when I knew that was my opportunity.
Payout? Did you get a payout?
I did get a payout. Yep. So, put up my hand. I pledged my cases to why it was my time to go. And, the good graces afforded me the redundancy. So I was very fortunate. I managed to walk away with a little bit of a nest egg behind me. But nonetheless, it was still a really tough decision to make. Like, this was 16 and a half of years of my career, and I'd really forged a great name for myself in this space. So it was really tough to walk away from.
Now I just want to talk to our fans. We've got some great comments. Thank you for all that. If you just come in, smash that like, share, and comment. Connect with Amanda and I. And we got one from Maureen Madden. And Maureen Madden's making a great comment saying, I always look on the positive side of work and the negatives and do better. That's why we love you, Maureen. We've got Patricia Vandenbrand from Holland, who says hello, and she also said she also agreed when we were talking about women attacking women. Again, 90% of, I did a poll on that topic. 90% plus of women said most attacks against women come from other women, which is tragic, and I've observed the same thing. We got Sasanska from Sri Lanka. We love you, Sri Lanka. Hope everything's okay. I know Sri Lanka's been a bit wonky lately. Hope you're doing good. And I've got a question from my friend Yasser from Dubai. Great, Yasser's a great guy. And it's a question for you, Amanda. How do you tackle a pandemic in terms of keeping the flow of business and normal life? What's your take on that, Amanda McNeil?
So I think the pandemic has been a brilliant thing for a lot of businesses. And the reason I say that is because people have really had to adapt. And being able to adapt to your environment and changes and things that happen, that is all a part of resilience, right? Is being able to adapt and bounce back. And businesses that have been created out of the pandemic, there are some amazing businesses that have now come to the forefront. Also, what's happened is other businesses have pivoted. And so they've found a whole new space for their own business that they can now forge forward in. But what it's also done, it's created a space, I think, for people to really reflect on what's most important in their life. And I can speak from experience, having that time to really think about how things have changed for me and what I wanted for myself is part of the reason why I chose to walk away from my corporate career and, take it into my own hands and create my own business in a space that I was really passionate about and gave myself my voice back and being able to help and serve others in the way that is authentic to me. And I think a lot of people have gone through that transformation. Like there are so many online businesses now being start up. There are so many people who have left their corporate jobs and gone into their own business to do what they're truly passionate about. And, what do they say? I think it's the great resignation that we're going through at the moment. So I think that that's all part to do with what we have just gone through with the pandemic. So that's a great question. Thank you.
No, we love you. Yasser, great guy from Dubai. Now, I was going to ask you about empowerment, right? Now, I've deliberately focused on the negative, and you know me, I like a good sordid tale. I come from an Arabic background, so I love the depths of despair, and then we rebuild you. So typical storytelling. Now, I want to say, Amanda, talking to the positive now. Of course, I like being dark, but we're going to talk about light for a change.
Light and shade.
I know they were going to. Let's go light about things. So, what is this, right? What does empowerment mean to you? And what was that turning point like for you? And what were some of your experiences, Amanda McNeil?
So what empowerment means to me is being able to own your space, being able to turn up with clarity, with confidence, and real certainty about what it is that you want to do. Being able to identify yourself in what you're doing as your full self-fulfillment. Like to me, that's empowering, is being in a space that you are so I say passionate, but it is, you're so passionate about, and you have real certainty about what you're doing. That is empowering to me. And that's what, that's the transformation that my clients have fortunately been through. They come to me in a space where they're unclear about what their future looks like. They're not sure about what their vision is or their purpose, like I was. And when you actually land on that, and then it creates that clarity and that certainty that what you're doing is where you want to be in this life right now, that is empowering. So to me, it's having all of those insights and being able to identify yourself as your full self. So that's empowering to me.
Wow, brilliant. Now, I was going to ask you, you work with a lot of people, you have a lot of great clients. What makes people go to you? Like, when people approach you, what's going through their minds? What's that trigger point for your clients?
What I've found when I work with my clients and we kind of go through the process to really kind of nut down what it is, what's that thing that's really kind of stopping them from really being able to step into their power and really being able to reach their fullest potential. It really comes down to a place of fear. Now, that's represented by a lot of different things. You know, people have a fear of failure. They have a fear that they're not good enough. And that, I mean, I think that's the real key thing here. You think about it, there's two kind of primary fears when you really break it down, and that's the fear of not being good enough and the fear of not being loved. And that's what I find most of my clients, when we really get into it, that's the biggest thing that's holding them back. And then obviously that's, you know, that's coupled with a lot of other stuff that's packaged around that, which we work through. But the crux of it is, it's really that, you know, kind of that fear of not being good enough or fear of not being loved.
Yeah. It's fascinating, actually, just reflecting on some of my trials and tribulations. I remember I used to have a big fear of failure, and then I realized I was a failure. Then after that, I lost my fear of failure. It's like I'm already a loser, so I got nothing to lose, right? So fear of failure.
Your lowest point.
Yeah, it's like I'm a loser, so I can't lose anymore. In fact, I got a funny quick story for you. You'll like this. This guy got really angry. Pre-virus. Oh, by the way, Maureen Madden says you're awesome. We love you, Maureen Madden. Maureen Madden loves you, Amanda, and I love you, Maureen Madden. Nice lady. We used to actually know each other for a minute. Love you, Maureen. Anyway, you'll like this funny story. You'll appreciate the dark yet true humor. So pre-pandemic, I was running one of our meetup events, and I had about 50 people, and I was actually doing more of a motivational one. But so my meetups used to be more educational before I went in the networking direction, right? As you do. Anyway, and I was running this event. I got up there and I said, I'm the biggest loser in the room, and no one in this room has screwed up their life more than me, right? And all these people got angry, right? And they said, no way, I've screwed up my life more than you. And then I'd shout at them aggressively in front of the room saying, no, you're a winner. I'm more of a loser than you. You are so awesome. I'm the loser. And they got really angry because I took away their power and significance. I just shattered their victimhood story, right? Because you know, at the end of the day, I don't care if I lose because I've already lost everything. There's nothing more I can lose.
So here's another little interesting insight. We all are driven by our needs, right? And we have 6 core needs, like 6 human needs. And so a couple of the needs are the need for significance. Right. And so I think that's what you had done. Like if people are driven by significance, they need to be the best person in the room, or they need to be the most important person in the room.
Or the biggest victim.
Right. But you were taking away their significance. Yeah. Because that's obviously what they were driven by. So it's an interesting story, Ed. But here's the other interesting thing about it. And I think the reason why you changed once you hit your lowest point of failure is because you kind of hit that pain. And you'd hit because people are motivated by either pleasure or pain. And when you hit that pain, and that's the turning point. You think about, for everybody who's listening, you think about a point in your life that really triggered change. And what was the epicenter of that? It's either pain or it's pleasure. If the pain's bad enough, if it's really bad enough, that's when you'll change. Like for me, when it was really bad enough in my job and when it was really bad enough in my first marriage, that was what triggered the change. So, some really interesting things that you've brought up there, Ed.
And the other one, the fear of not being loved. Well, what I realized was I used to be very, I hate to throw terms around, but just to keep it tight, I used to be quite codependent. So I used to be the sort of man that would just bounce from relationship to relationship. Did it my whole life. And I look back on it with absolute shame, right? I don't look back on it with any sense of pride. I look back on it saying, oh, why the hell did I do that, right? And I remember that I was so dependent on having to be loved, I just bounced from relationship to relationship. And it wasn't until, honestly, my sort of late 30s or even 40s that I started to really break that codependence and said, well, who cares if no one loves me? Meh, why am I so driven by it? And it's funny, when I started to not care about being loved and not care about failing, my life started to really work. Why is that, Amanda? Can you expand on that, please?
Yeah, well, I think it goes down to those core needs again. Right, because there's a connection and love is another one of those. Growth and contribution is another one. Certainty versus variety. So, like I said, there was 6 of them. And I think that when you start to and maybe one of the reasons why you were bouncing around in relationships is because you didn't have a true sense of your own identity, right? And so you
No.
saw yourself as who you were in those different relationships.
Yeah.
But I guess, as you evolved as a human being and as you evolved in your life, and it wasn't until you got to, those early 30s, 40s, that your needs started to change. Those human needs started to change. So you were no longer driven by love and connection, but maybe you were driven by something that was a little bit different. So maybe it was significance, or maybe you were driven by variety. Maybe you wanted some variety in your life. So it's back down to those human needs, and everybody has the same set of human needs. It's just what we're driven by. Like, what is the most important human need is the thing that differentiates us. Yeah.
You're a savvy lady, Amanda McNeil. And that brings me to my next point, right? When you're talking to clients, again, not asking for confidential details, protecting privacy and all that, when you're coaching a client, what are some of the biggest sort of bombshells they hit you with, or things you have to really work on?
I can't say that I've had a massive bombshell, but what has been a bombshell for my clients when I've been working with them, is when we really get into their values and their beliefs and the rules that we place on allowing ourselves to feel the emotions that we want to feel. And it's a really interesting one because, I could probably say like 95% of my clients who go through this particular part of my session where we uncover what those hidden rules are that we place upon ourselves that either allow us to feel or not feel the emotions that we want to on a daily basis, that for them is a light bulb moment. Because, like I said, they're hidden rules. We put these rules on ourselves that we're not even aware of. It's not even in our conscious mind. And so when we bring consciousness to this and really uncover what they are, people then start to get it. They're like, oh, that's why I want to feel happy every day, but I don't, because I place all these unconscious rules on myself. Like, oh, because I didn't get the shopping done, or because I, didn't get up on time, or because I didn't do this, then I don't feel happy. And it's just like, guess what? We write our own rules. And when you rewrite the rules to make it really easy for yourself to feel the things that you want to feel on the daily basis, game changer. People like the light goes on.
And on that note, you're actually talking about something that I've really been actually processing a lot lately, right? I've actually been processing this lately is, are you being made happy by what you think or what other people say about you, right? That's been a big thing for me. And I remember that, again, I used to be a guy, and I say this with absolute shame, is that I used to be a guy that was very dependent on external approval. And in my sort of probably mid to late 20s, I realized I was being had. I realized that people knew that and they were playing on me. And I started to really disconnect from other people. Like, at the end of the day, I remember once I had a fight with one of my bosses who ended up getting fired, which was awesome. And before I started my business, mind you. And the actual person was saying to me, well, oh, such and such and such and such hates you. And for one of the first times in my life, I turned around and said, well, you know what? I hate them. I think they're absolute scum. They shouldn't be here. And I'm actually glad that they hate me. And the person was completely speechless. And then he started lecturing me. I said, and I don't care if you hate me too. You can hate me all you want. In fact, I know you hate me, don't you? Say it. And I started, in a way, picking a fight with a guy in a boardroom, right? And he just went all quiet. And I suppose what's interesting is that I think when we're being controlled, when we need approval from others, that makes us very easy to manipulate, doesn't it, Amanda McNeil?
100%. And that's part of what this particular exercise is that I do. It helps people realize that, we can only control ourselves, right? And so we never write a rule. So when we rewrite our rules, we never rewrite a rule that is dependent on someone else.
Yeah.
So like you said, it's like for you to feel acknowledged in life. If you want to feel acknowledged on a daily basis, a lot of people say, oh, well, I'll feel acknowledged when my boss tells me I do a good job. Yeah. And I was like, but you're relying on someone else to make you feel acknowledged. What can you do within yourself to make you feel acknowledged? And the other thing I would say to you, Ed, is don't ever feel shame about what you've done in your past. Because guess what? You are not your past. You are your future. So you are whatever you're going to create in your future. And what you've gone through in your past has shaped who you are as a man today. So don't ever feel shame for what you've done in your past.
That's right. And that's why you are a resilience coach and I'm a LinkedIn trainer. There you go. You just said it right there. That's exactly. And to everyone listening, that's why you hire Amanda for those golden nuggets. So if you are listening, hire Amanda right now. Connect with her. Send her a message saying, Amanda, I want you to be my coach. Now, just on that one, I just want to, before we go into how people can hire you, we're half an hour now, and thank you everyone for watching. Can I get some of your closing thoughts from you before we go into how you work with people? What are some of your closing thoughts you want to say to our fans across the world?
My closing thoughts would be, you're exactly where you're supposed to be in your life right now. So much like I've said to you, don't ever feel shame about what you've done in your past. You are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. And you are not your past. You are your future. And the future is what you create for yourself. And bringing it back to what I said at the very beginning, the focus and the energy and the meaning that you give to things, you give to experiences, will change your life. It is a game changer, guys. What you focus on is what you get. So if you're going to focus on the negative, that is what you're going to get. But if you focus on the positive, and if you focus on the life that you want for yourself, your brain will find a way to support you and get you there. But then it's about habit, and it's about repetition, and it's about continually doing the work. You have to do the work. It doesn't just happen when you click your fingers, unfortunately, but it doesn't. But if you are clear about what it is that you want and you focus on that on a daily basis, your conscious mind will support you and get you there. And then I can help you as well.
Exactly. You help speed it all up. And
Exactly.
So let's talk about you and what you do. Again, if you're listening, we love and recommend Amanda. So please connect with Amanda on LinkedIn and message her saying you want her as a coach. Now, I was going to say you do resilience and empowerment. For anyone who's watching who loves you and wants to hire you, tell us about resilience empowerment and how do you work? When someone starts working with you, what's the deal? What's the process? How do you help people in life? Tell us everything.
Yeah, good one. So when you start working with me, the first thing that we do is we work on gaining clarity, getting crystal clear about that vision that you want for yourself, much to what I just explained previously. So when you get really clear about what it is that you want, then we really start to work on what are those habits, what are those patterns, what are the things that are blocking you and stopping you from achieving that. And we get rid of those and we build those powerful, healthy, positive habits that are going to support you to get you to where you want to be. We create goals and action plans. We build your confidence and your self-belief that you can achieve anything that you set your mind to. And then we work on that resilience. We really use those tools and strategies and we get immersive and we work on that resilience. So by the time you finish working with me, you've got all of the strategies and tools in your tool belt that you can use whenever life throws you that challenge or that curveball, that you're going to be able to fall back on and pull yourself out of that situation and keep forging forward to get to that life that you want to live.
Wow. So this could be people going through career change, starting a business. They've just come fresh out of divorce. They're going to a new relationship. Am I sort of reading you correctly in that one, Amanda McNeil?
Yeah, absolutely, Ed. It does. It applies across a spectrum of different scenarios. It's wherever you are in your life right now. I'm not going to dictate to you what it is that you need to change. That's for you to decide. But if there is something in your life where you feel like you're caught in your comfort zone and you feel like you're settling in a life or a job or, a career where you're not happy and you're not getting fulfillment, then that's when you probably want to start taking a look at what is it that you need to do to be able to create that life that you really want for yourself, because we only have one shot. We've only got one shot at this life, yeah? And why waste it being unhappy, being unfulfilled, and living a life for someone else and not yourself? So if that resonates with you and you find yourself in that space, then I would love to chat to you and let's talk about how I can help you get to that life.
Got me all excited. I want to put on a beret and burn down a building now. So it sounds really good.
Yeah.
You got the Arab rebel out of me. I like it. It's really good. So I just want to say big thank you, Amanda McNeil, to all our viewers. Thank you for coming in and watching. If you're watching this live or the recording, hit that like, hit that share and comment. Please connect with Amanda McNeil. Amanda, we're going to finish this broadcast, but just before we do, can we get the final closing thought from you to finish up on?
Final closing thought from me.
Final closing thought.
Final, gosh, okay.
Final.
I've had to pull so many different ones out. I can't think of another one, Ed. I'm just going to keep saying what you focus on is what you get. So people, if you want a life that you want to live, got to focus on that.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Amanda McNeil. Thank you, everyone. Stay awesome and love your work all. Bye, everyone.